First Contact's consequences. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Confederation fell silent as High Counselor Zevnar rose from his crystalline seat. His translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent patterns that betrayed his agitation to the assembled representatives of over 300 sentient species. The massive amphitheater, carved from a single asteroid and orbiting the neutral star of Proxima Centauri, had never been this quiet in its 1,000-year history. "The reports have been confirmed," Zevnar announced, his voice amplified by the chamber's perfect acoustics. "The entire Krell battle fleet, 37 vessels, over 20,000 crew members, has been destroyed. There were no survivors." Gasps and murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Krell were feared throughout 7 spiral arms for their military might. Their warships, organic metal hybrids grown rather than built, were considered nearly indestructible. "And what force?" asked Ambassador Teshur of the Volith hegemony, her feathered crest rising in alarm, "could possibly have accomplished this?" Zevnar's skin pulsed a deep indigo, the color of dread among his kind. "The humans of Earth." The chamber erupted in chaos. Earth had been discovered only 50 standard cycles ago, a vibrant blue world orbiting an unremarkable yellow star. Initial scans had revealed a technologically advancing species, but nothing that suggested they could challenge even a minor Confederation power, let alone obliterate the most feared military force in the known galaxy. "Silence," thundered Zevnar, his skin flashing crimson. When order was restored, he continued, "As you all know, Earth was extended an invitation to join the Confederation, as is our custom with all newly discovered spacefaring civilizations. They declined. This was the first anomaly that had puzzled the Confederation. No species had ever declined membership. The benefits were too great. Access to advanced technologies, trade networks spanning thousands of systems, protection from rogue powers. Yet the humans had politely but firmly refused, requesting only to be left alone. We respected their wishes," Zevnar continued. "We established a monitoring outpost at the edge of their system, as is protocol for non-member worlds. Earth continued its development in isolation for the past 50 cycles, until 3 standard days ago, when the Krell Armada entered their system. The holographic projector in the center of the chamber activated, displaying the Sol system. A swarm of red dots, the Krell ships, approached the 3rd planet. The Krell, as you know, are not Confederation members. They operate outside our jurisdiction. Our monitoring station recorded this transmission from the Krell commander to Earth." The hologram shifted, showing the grotesque visage of Supreme Commander Vexkra, his chidnous faceplates clicking as he spoke. "People of Earth, your resources and territory are now claimed by the Krell Dominion. Surrender and serve, or be eradicated. Standard procedure for the Krell, known for their brutality and expansion. Most civilizations at Earth's development stage would immediately capitulate. Some would attempt resistance, only to be quickly overwhelmed. This," said Zevnar gravely, "was Earth's response." The hologram showed nothing but static for several moments. Then, a calm human voice, unaccompanied by any visual. "Krell vessels, you have violated sovereign Earth space. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The Krell commander's laughter echoed through the chamber. "You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender. After that, we begin orbital bombardment." The transmission ended. Zevnar let the silence hang before continuing. 20 standard hours later, this occurred. The hologram showed the Krell fleet approaching Earth orbit in attack formation. Suddenly, hundreds of small objects detached from what appeared to be orbital platforms around Earth. Too small to be conventional warships, they moved with impossible speed and maneuverability. "Automated defense drones," explained Zevnar, "but unlike any we've seen before." The assembly watched in stunned silence as the drones swarmed the Krell vessels. Energy weapons fired from the massive battleships, destroying dozens of the small attackers. But for each one lost, 10 more seemed to appear. They adhered to the hulls of the Krell ships like parasites. drilling through their biomechanical armor. Within minutes, the first Krell vessel exploded, then another, and another. The largest ship, the command vessel, launched fighters in a desperate attempt to clear the drones. But new, larger objects emerged from Earth orbit. Ships, recognizable as warships despite their unfamiliar design, accelerated toward the Krell command vessel. "Those vessels were hidden from our scans," Sevnar said quietly, cloaking technology far beyond what our intelligence suggested humans possessed. The human ships fired weapons unlike anything the Confederation had cataloged, not energy beams or plasma, but something that seemed to distort space itself around the targets. Where these weapons struck, sections of Krell ships simply ceased to exist, the matter apparently folded out of normal spacetime. In less than 1 standard hour, the battle, if it could be called that, was over. The mighty Krell fleet had been reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Earth's defenses returned to their orbital positions, the warships vanishing from sensors as mysteriously as they had appeared. After the battle, Sevnar continued, "We received this transmission from Earth. A human appeared on the hologram, wearing a simple gray uniform with no insignia or markings. Middle-aged by human standards, with dark skin and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything with clinical detachment. Galactic Confederation. The human said, 'We know you've been watching. The Krell incursion has been dealt with. We will not tolerate any further violations of our space. This is your only warning. Earth out.'" The chamber remained silent as the hologram faded. "High Counselor," said Ambassador Kalor of the Tellurian Alliance, his voice quavering, "are we to understand that humans possess military technology far beyond what our intelligence suggested?" "That appears to be the case," Sevnar replied grimly. "Our most recent estimates suggested humans were at least 200 cycles away from developing efficient FTL travel. Now we have evidence they not only possess it, but have advanced weapons and defensive systems that could challenge even our most powerful members." "But why the deception?" asked Tushar. "Why hide their capabilities?" "And more importantly," added the ancient Meyer representative, whose species had been among the founders of the Confederation, "why decline membership if they have nothing to fear from external threats?" Sevnar's skin pulsed with patterns of uncertainty. "These questions are precisely why I've called this emergency session. We need to reassess everything we thought we knew about Earth and its inhabitants." The scientific advisor, Lontek, stepped forward. "We have analyzed the weapons used against the Krell. They appear to be based on principles of quantum manipulation that our physicists have only theorized about. The humans have weaponized spacetime itself." A cold silence fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. Such technology, in the hands of an isolationist species with unknown intentions, represented an existential threat to the Confederation itself. "I propose," said the Meyer representative slowly, "that we assemble a diplomatic mission, not to invite them to join us this time, but to understand them, to learn why they hide behind a facade of technological inferiority while developing weapons of such power, and most importantly, to determine if they represent a threat to galactic peace." Sevnar nodded. "I agree, but who would undertake such a mission? The humans have made it clear they do not welcome visitors." "I will go," said a voice from the back of the chamber. All eyes turned to see Ambassador Thoravex rise from her seat. As a member of the long-lived Arcadian species, she had served the Confederation for over 400 cycles. Her reputation as a negotiator was unparalleled. "The humans are dangerous," Sevnar warned. Thora's expression remained serene. "All misunderstood species are dangerous, High Counselor. I have studied Earth's transmissions, their art, their literature. There is more to them than weapons. I believe I can establish a dialogue." Sevnar considered this, then nodded. "Very well. You have the Confederation's authority to speak on our behalf. But understand this, if humans truly can destroy a Krell battle fleet with such ease, we cannot protect you should things go wrong." Thora's smile was enigmatic. "Perhaps, High Counselor, Protection is not what is needed here. Perhaps what is needed is understanding. As the council adjourned, the empty seat in the chamber, the one reserved for Earth since its discovery, seemed to hold a new significance. No longer a symbol of a primitive world not yet ready for galactic politics, it now represented a mystery and a potential threat that could no longer be ignored. The seat that Earth had declined to fill might yet be the most important in the Confederation. The truth behind the empty chair. Ambassador Thora Vex watched through the viewport as her small diplomatic vessel approached the blue-green world of Earth. Despite her centuries of experience with first contacts and delicate negotiations, she felt an uncharacteristic tension in her slender frame. The humans had reluctantly granted her permission to land after 3 days of terse communications, but their message had been clear. This visit was an exception, not a new policy. Ambassador, her pilot called. We're receiving landing coordinates. Thora nodded, her silver eyes reflecting the growing sphere of Earth. Very well. Follow their instructions precisely. As they descended through Earth's atmosphere, Thora reviewed what the Confederation knew about humans. Pitifully little, she realized, given their apparent technological capabilities. The official intelligence reports described them as emotionally volatile but intellectually promising, a species that had developed rapidly from primitive tool use to basic space exploration in a mere few thousand years. But those reports had clearly missed something fundamental. No species at Earth's supposed development stage could have defeated the Krell so decisively. The ship touched down on a landing pad surrounded by rolling green hills and forests. No sprawling metropolis, no visible defense systems, just a single modest structure nearby. This was not what Thora had expected for a diplomatic reception. A small delegation awaited her, just 3 humans, dressed in simple clothing with no ceremonial regalia or visible weapons. As Thora descended the ramp, she activated her universal translator and prepared the traditional Confederation greeting. I come in peace and friendship, bearing the goodwill of 300 worlds, she began. The central figure, a woman with silver-streaked black hair and piercing eyes, raised her hand to interrupt. Ambassador Vex, I am Director Helena Chen of Earth's Diplomatic Corps. We appreciate the sentiment, but let's dispense with formalities. We both know why you're here. Thora blinked, taken aback by the directness. Very well. The Confederation is concerned about the recent incident with the Krell and about Earth's unexpected level of technological advancement. Helena's expression remained impassive. We've prepared suitable accommodations. Once you're settled, we can begin our discussions. The building turned out to be both more and less than it appeared. While outwardly modest, its interior revealed sophisticated technology seamlessly integrated with natural materials. Thora was led to a comfortable suite where Earth's gravity was adjusted to match her homeworld's, a courtesy that suggested they had studied her physiology in detail. After a brief rest, she was escorted to a conference room where Helena waited with her 2 companions, introduced as Dr. Isamu Tanaka, Chief Scientist, and General Maya Santos, Defense Command. Ambassador, Helena began once they were seated. You want to know why we destroyed the Krell fleet, why we've concealed our true capabilities, and whether we pose a threat to the Confederation. Correct. Succinctly put, Thora admitted. I would add that we are also curious why Earth declined membership in the Confederation. The benefits are largely irrelevant to us. Helena finished. Ambassador, before we explain further, there's something you should see. Dr. Tanaka activated a holographic display in the center of the table. It showed what appeared to be an archaeological excavation, massive metallic structures being unearthed from beneath layers of sediment. These ruins were discovered beneath the Antarctic ice sheet 80 years ago, Tanaka explained. They are approximately 65 million years old, dating to what we call the KT extinction event, when most large life forms on Earth, including the dinosaurs, were wiped out. Thora leaned forward, intrigued. An ancient civilization on Earth. Our scans never detected. They weren't from Earth, General Santos interrupted. The technology is clearly extraterrestrial, and it wasn't just an archaeological find. We recovered functional data systems. The hologram shifted to show strange glyphs and schematics that Thora didn't recognize. This language doesn't match any in the Confederation database, she observed. No, Helena agreed. It wouldn't, because these visitors came long before the Confederation existed, from somewhere beyond your known space. We call them the predecessors, for lack of a better term, and they didn't come in peace. The hologram changed again, showing simulations of massive ships in Earth orbit, energy weapons firing at the planet's surface, creating widespread devastation. The predecessors didn't just visit Earth, they tried to colonize it. When the indigenous life forms proved inconvenient, they attempted to sterilize the surface. The impact event that killed the dinosaurs wasn't a natural asteroid strike, as we once believed. It was deliberate. Thora felt a chill run through her, but they failed. Life survived. Helena nodded. Yes, smaller mammals, our ancestors, survived and eventually evolved into humanity. But that's not all we discovered in those ruins. Dr. Tanaka adjusted the display again. The predecessors left monitoring stations in our solar system, automated systems designed to alert them if intelligent life evolved again. When humans developed radio technology about 200 years ago, those systems activated, and the predecessors returned. Thora asked. No, General Santos said grimly. But others did. 50 years before the Confederation officially discovered Earth, we had our first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. It didn't go well. The hologram showed grainy footage of strange, insectoid creatures and sleek ships unlike the Confederation's or the Krell's designs. The harvesters, as we called them, came in small numbers at first. Abductions, experiments, reconnaissance. When we detected their ships and attempted communication, they responded with limited strikes against military targets. It became clear they viewed us as resources, not equals. Why didn't you call for help? Thora asked. Surely once the Confederation. We had no way of knowing the Confederation existed, Helena said sharply. And no reason to believe any aliens would be benevolent, given our first experience. So we did what humans have always done. We adapted. We recovered technology from downed harvester craft. We reverse-engineered it. We prepared. 20 years ago, General Santos continued, the harvesters launched a full invasion. They expected to find a primitive species with limited defenses. Instead, they found a unified Earth with weapons and shields adapted from their own technology, improved upon by human innovation. The war lasted 3 years. By the end, there wasn't enough left of them to fill a cargo container. Thora sat back, the implications washing over her. And when the Confederation discovered Earth 7 years later, we decided to keep our capabilities hidden. Helena finished. We had just survived one alien invasion. We weren't about to risk another by revealing our true strength or technology. So we presented a facade, a developing world just reaching for the stars, not worth conquering, but not advanced enough to be a threat. The empty seat, Thora murmured. You declined membership because joining would have revealed too much. Helena nodded. Confederation protocols would have required full technological disclosure, integration of our defense systems, open borders. We weren't ready to trust again, not so soon after the Harvester War. And the Krell? Thora asked. General Santos' expression hardened. They made the same mistake the Harvesters did. They thought we were defenseless. We gave them one warning, as we give all who enter our space uninvited. They chose not to heed it. Thora considered this information carefully. I understand your caution now, but surely you recognize that destroying an entire Krell fleet has only drawn more attention to Earth. The Confederation now views you as a potential threat precisely because of your secrecy and demonstrated power. We're aware of the irony, Helena said with a thin smile. That's why we agreed to this meeting. A gesture of transparency, limited though it may be. Then let me be equally transparent. Thor replied. The Confederation doesn't seek conflict with Earth, but the unknown creates fear, and fear can lead to dangerous decisions. Would you consider a limited form of diplomatic relations? Not full membership, but enough engagement to build trust on both sides. The three humans exchanged glances, having some silent communication that Thora couldn't interpret. We might, Helena finally said. With conditions, our defensive capabilities remain our own. No Confederation presence in our system beyond a small diplomatic station, and absolute respect for our sovereignty. That could be arranged, Thora said carefully. And in return, we won't expand beyond our solar system for now. We'll share certain technologies, medical advances, environmental restoration methods, and we'll provide intelligence about what lies beyond your borders. Beyond our borders? Thor asked, confused. Dr. Tanaka smiled for the first time. Ambassador, the Harvesters didn't originate in Confederation space. Neither did the predecessors. There are other powers out there, older, more advanced, and not all of them benevolent. The Krell are nothing compared to what waits in the darkness between galaxies. Thora felt a profound unease settle over her. In all her centuries, the Confederation had operated under the assumption that they had mapped most significant civilizations in their arm of the galaxy. Is that why you've developed such powerful weapons? You're preparing for something worse than the Harvesters. General Santos nodded solemnly. Humanity has survived extinction once already. We don't intend to face it again. The empty chair in your Confederation, Helena said quietly, isn't a rejection. Consider it a sentinel position. We stand apart not out of arrogance, but vigilance. As Thora departed Earth the next day, she gazed back at the blue planet with new understanding. The report she would deliver to the High Council would be careful, measured, revealing enough to ease immediate fears while respecting humanity's privacy and painful history. The empty chair in the Confederation chamber would remain vacant for now. But perhaps, Thora reflected, it served a purpose that way. A reminder that not all paths to the stars are the same, and that sometimes the quietest voices have the most important things to say. As her ship accelerated toward the jump point, Thora composed the opening lines of her report. Earth's empty seat is not a sign of absence, but of presence on a different frontier, one that we, in our comfortable unity, have forgotten exists. The humans do not stand apart because they fear us, but because they have learned to fear what we have not yet encountered.